to the fam. Y'all got any questions, throw it in the chat. Y'all hit the like button here as well, man. I want to be able to address some of the stuff that I've been hearing going into the off season, and y'all been noticing I've been kind of going not at the I ain't gonna say naysayers or people who do not think that the Saints is going to do anything, right? So let me show you this poll. Matter of fact, I might as well just show y'all this damn poll. I got almost 1,000 people almost voted on this poll. If you haven't voted on the poll, I've been having this poll up here for a while, right? We've been having this poll up here for a while. And me personally, I've been kind of looking at this thing, and I've been saying that I wanted leaving it up, and I was going to go to this poll and talk about it leading up to the season. And pretty much what the poll is it's just 947 people voted on this poll currently. And the question was, how many wins do you think the Saints get this year? The poll will be on the next broadcast. And the 4 options are 5 to 8 wins, 9 to 12 wins, 1 to 4 wins, or 13 or more. And you can see over 900 people voted on this spectacular poll, and 48% of the family members that voted said 5 to 8 wins. 31% says 9 to 12 wins, right? 15% says 1 to 4, and just 6% says 13 or more. A lot of people don't believe the Saints will win 13 or more games, but realistically, they believe the tally is anywhere between 5 to 12 games in terms of wins. So that's the thing, even though most people said we'll get 5 to 8, the high being the 8, the low being the 5, what we had last year. But family members asked me as of recent, I think we are between the 8 and 10 mark. That's where I will put myself. I know that's not the poll option there, but that's where I think we could be, depending on how the team gels. And like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I'm looking at is the fact that, and I've said this before, and I've watched these other people make these comments about the Saints, how good the Saints could be and how bad the Saints are going to be based on the fact that Spencer Rattler's running the team and he's inexperienced, right? Then they use the talking point that he didn't win a game last year, but they never put the substance in why he didn't. They just say it and they don't give any depth to it. They just schmooze over the surface of it and keep it moving to make it a quick talking point or just to write an article fast. But the depth is, there's a reason why he didn't win any damn games that year. They're not making excuses for him, but the fact that he was a rookie, he was playing behind a bunch of backups that ain't know what they was doing, and a stupid ass coach ain't know what he was doing. So in the end, how does this guy with experience look when he has access to Alvin Kamara and all these other starters? Eric McCoy in there holding down the center position, fussing at these guys, getting them together. The team looks different when Eric is there. When Elvin is there, when Rashid is there, and Chris Olave, when they have everybody. How does it look? And the fact that the idea, what is Kellen Moore trying to do? And the fact that nobody hasn't exclusively seen the Saints offense, right? They know exactly what kind of plays they're going to roll out. What's the plays they're familiar with? All we've seen is a preseason playbook. Now in practice, we've seen a few plays here or there, right? A few plays, but they let you see what they want you to see. A lot of the real stuff is done when the reporters are not around. They kick the reporters out and they go behind closed doors and they run those. That's when they run their real stuff. And they don't want you to see it. Now, when the game starts coming up, the week 1 and so on and so forth, we'll be able to see what Kellen Moore has in store, what kind of offense he wants, or what kind of deviation or variation of the offense that he ran at Philly or with the Chargers or even the Cowboys. What is his mindset? What is he trying to do? Based on his personnel groupings, you can get an idea of what he's doing. He's not hiding that. Wide receivers are all fast wide receivers. No matter how the size of them, all of them can run. So that's letting you know that he's going to prioritize speed and getting the ball out fast. That's that, which means that put pressures on the defense, which makes it more unlikely that the defense going to want to crowd the line. That's how you neutralize or help out when you have an experienced quarterback play. If you can get the quarterback in a timing pattern, be able to get him to get the ball out to speedy receivers, that means something, especially if you can attack downfield. That creates space. And a space back like Alvin Kamara, that's all he needs, is space and opportunity, baby. Same with Kendre Miller. It opens up things for the running attack. It makes it easy on the quarterback too. So, and the Saints have an interesting group of players that they're going to roll out and use. Interesting packages. A lot of this stuff, like I said, we won't see the totality of what Kellen Moore is going to do until weeks into the season, like the first week, and they'll have a wrinkle, then another wrinkle, a couple of wrinkles later as the season progresses, and the Saints kind of open up what they want to do. So it's going to be interesting from an offensive standpoint to see how the Saints offense will look. So I think a lot of these people are premature in their discussions about that without providing more in-depth analysis about why the team was where it is. And they never mention the head coach. Like, the head coach don't mean nothing to the team or why they lost. If the head coach is stupid and dumb and don't know what the hell he do, the team's going to be like that. The Saints won 5 games last year, not because it was a bad football team. They had a stupid coach who didn't know what he was doing. You can't win in spite the coach. That is a very powerful point to make, and they never make the point. Like, the Saints just didn't know what they was doing because the players was bad. The players are the reflection of the mindset of the head coach. That's common sense, but they never mention that. So I guess that's why Sports Coma is what it is, because we do. We mention that before you give your goddamn prediction on why the Saints going to pick up Arch Manning, who ain't going to come out until 27. Anyway, let's hit this one, man. Saints' massive QB problem is much worse than you think. Here we go. Saints lost quarterback Derek Carr to retirement. Early this offseason, they haven't been able to replace him yet. They did replace him. The Saints had quite a competitive quarterback battle between Hainers, Rattler, and Shuck. The battle ended up coming down to Shuck and Rattler, with Rattler being named the starter for week 1. And Rattler has shown signs of improvement this season. He's likely going to be the worst starting quarterback in the league. If Shuck was a starter, the same could be said about him. Now, what is your thought process? What is the proof you have to talk about the man going to be the worst? You don't have a crystal ball. You don't know what the hell these guys are going to do. ESPN Cat Terrell recently discussed the Saints and identified the quarterback room as the biggest weakness on the Saints roster, but the issue might not be way bigger than everybody realizes. How is it weaker? They calling inexperience a weakness. Now, you might be inexperienced here, but a quarterback is an important part of the team. But how does the coach have the quarterback tied into the system? A lot of times, if you're smart, and listen, let me say this, fam. The Saints have 3 former quarterbacks in key positions in their offense. Every layer from the head coach, a former quarterback in the NFL, the offensive coordinator's former quarterback that played in the NFL, and then the QB coach obviously is a former quarterback. So you have 3 quarterbacks that played in some professional capacity that understands how to talk to their quarterbacks. They understand the verbiage, like they're all in tune. This is a good mixture of people that have to be able to break down and give to the quarterback what they need to win. A team most of the time will run plays that the quarterback is comfortable with. Because I'm pretty sure when they have the meetings, when the quarterback meets with his QB coach and the offensive coordinator and the head coach, and the head coach is a former quarterback and offensive-minded guy, then they're going to figure out what he likes to do. And they're going to also understand the fact that he played in 7 games last year, started 6 of the games, that they will have to, with any quarterback, needs a running attack, a solid tight end play, and blocking. We got to have blocking. We got to have blocking to run the ball. We have blocking to protect the quarterback. But I'm telling you, when you have 5 speedy wide receivers, he's planning on having a timing offense to get the ball out on time, on schedule. They sitting up here saying we're going to sit on the line and blitz at Spencer Rattler and knock him around. Go for it. Try that out. See how it worked for you with that track team out there. So they're looking at inexperience as a weakness. These guys don't know, but at the same time are young at certain spots. Like, we got a new coach and we got inexperienced quarterbacks. We got a young, say inexperienced that much. I mean, he hadn't started but 7 games, played in 7 games, started 6 games. He does have some level of playing in at the position. He got knocked around behind a bad unit, an injured unit last year. Comes out here, he did some positive stuff in some camp, some other stuff he didn't do as well. The offense, the first team offense, I'll grant you that, did not look good with the vanilla or whatever they was running in preseason. It didn't look good. But it doesn't necessarily mean that whenever they switch to now to get ready for the Cardinals, that they can't gel and do something that they're more comfortable with. So what I'm basically saying is that Kellen Moore understands that he has inexperienced quarterbacks and how he needs to protect his quarterback insofar as having a running attack, blocking for passing and rushing, and a safety blanket tight end and wide receivers that can get down the field and stretch defenses. Because Spencer can't throw the ball. He's exhibited some accuracy is there, and he has a set of wheels if he needs to take off and get some. He can stress the defense if he needs to. Like I say, he don't just sit back there like Derek Carr would have Green and just sit back there and won't throw it and try to force the ball in the tight window or throw stupid ass passes. The guy will use his wheels. He'll take off. He'll run. So anyway, like I said, man, this thing about bad quarterbacks and all this kind of stuff. Saints' biggest weakness is the quarterback room. The Saints took their quarterback competition through the preseason, indication that neither Tyler Shuck nor Spencer Rattler had made an obvious case to win the job. Kellen Moore announced that Rattler won the job. Cat Terrell said that Saints didn't have a lot of depth at the skill positions last season because of injuries. This is true. It remains the case beyond Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. That means the team will need Rattler to step up big and elevate the rest of the offense. Rattler will do what he needs to do. That if the offense needs to be elevated, it needs to be elevated as a team. Quarterback plays is going to make plays, but everybody has to step up. You got a young quarterback like a Spencer Rattler. Everybody got to elevate their play. I mean, for one, Juwan Johnson is making $10 million a year over the next 3 seasons. He's making $30 million combined. Like I always talk about, that's 12th in the NFL in terms of tight end money. That's a nice size contract, 10 a year. He has to play better. He has to block better. He has to catch them goddamn balls and not have the concentration drops that we've seen him have early on. Them concentration drops have to be a thing of the past. He has to be able to make the third down catches. He got to secure the ball and also up his blocking. That all that has to work around the quarterback. The running attack, these guys have to step up. Everybody has to step up. It can't totally be on the shoulders of Spencer Rattler. That's the bottom line. Everybody has to step up in the offense. This is real. So anyway, while the quarterback position is weak, there are more wrinkles to this problem than personnel in the quarterback room. Rattler, the starter, doesn't have quality weapons to use. What do we mean? Yes, Chris Olave and Rashid at wide receiver, but he's practically he says they're practically all the proven weapons that Rattler will have. Elvin is a quality option at running back. He's a starter and a featured player, not a quality option. He's getting older. He's 30 years of age, and he isn't wearing down. What are you talking about, bro? Alvin Kamara is 30 years old. There is not a better conditioned athlete on the Saints than Alvin Kamara. He's not Christian McCaffrey worn down. Christian McCaffrey was a featured back in many years when he was at Carolina, when he was at San Francisco, when they had their run a couple of years ago. He was handed the ball a lot. He was basically their offense, and they put it on him. Alvin Kamara over the Dennis Allen administration wasn't used in that way, and they couldn't even get him to where he needed to be in many cases. So he's not worn down. Elvin's the most conditioned player, the best conditioned player on the Saints team. He's not worn down. So I don't agree with that. And he's 30 like he's 60. Just turned 30. And like I said, man, it's just how they look at it. The offensive line is good, but not great. To make matters worse, Rattler and Shuck won't be able to play freely. No matter who's under center, the other will be breathing down their neck the inability to play freely and hand the quarterback and further dig the Saints. What are we talking about here? The situation isn't good at all. I think this is just like one of these people run up in the theater and cry fire in the theater. This is not a thorough enough breakdown to talk about not much the case behind Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, like they chop liver. Chris Olave is a quality wide receiver. Rashid Shaheed is a quality wide receiver. We haven't seen the best of these guys yet. We've seen quality play. People forget the fantastic route running, the speed, and the phenomenal one-hand grabs that Chris Olave was doing before some bitches started hitting him in his helmet and concussing him. Rashid Shaheed's blazing speed to get out front. We've seen the misuse of it under Kubiak, under what's the other dude, Pete Carmichael. We've seen them people misuse these players for the last 4 years. But when you finally get somebody here who ran a decent offense, not once, not twice, but multiple times throughout his time as an offensive coordinator, when you see people like Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson, and others, that kind of makes you you're like, man, I can get these guys involved because I'm smart enough to know that if I can decoy Alvin Kamara and provide opportunities for other people like Kendre Miller, Vellis, Devin Neal, or I can do stuff with Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed and reverses or end arounds. Those guys can take the tops off of defense and provide opportunities for Velli, Tipton. It would be cool to have a team full of Olaves or Shaheeds or Alvin Kamara, but you don't. So you just have to be smart in your usage and application of your star players to open up opportunities for their teammates. That's how you do it. because they game plan for Alavia or Rashid or Elvin. They don't game plan for Tipton or Veli or any of these other guys. They don't game plan for those guys. So if Veli beats you, they'll live with it. You see what I'm saying? And that's how the application is. You star shine, or they provide opportunities for their teammates. They take the attention away from, for the defense to move and they functioning while on the other side of the field, these other guys are getting loose. But this article is not, no disrespect to the writer, but this is not enough information to bash upon the Saints, because Rattler and Shuck were close in a competition battle. Granted, they didn't look good in the first team offense, but smart enough to realize that they wasn't running Kellen Moore's offense. We don't know what that looks like yet. So I'll reserve judgment and talk about, they're just bad because Room is the worst in the NFL because they're quarterbacks, they're inexperienced quarterbacks, and that's the worst thing. But put Aaron Rodgers up there in Pittsburgh, I ain't gonna even go there. I ain't gonna even touch it. But anyway, like I said, but this is the type of stuff that you hearing that's like yelling fire in the goddamn movie theater about the Saints situation. I've been calmly telling people over and over again about that. Hey man, let's just see what they got. You ain't seen what them people doing, man. What are you talking about? You haven't seen nothing yet. You just seen shit in practice, and you seen shit in the preseason, which is not even a real playbook. So, I mean, I know it'll take time to gel, but at the same time, I know for a effing fact that the Saints are a better team than anything I've seen from Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen wasn't a real coach. He didn't have any responsibility, any intelligence on the offensive side of the ball. He was a moron, an idiot, and a liar. So in the end, man, like I said, man, we all know the Saints special teams are going to be strong. The defense was strong all damn preseason, and the offense is doing some catching up. But get this, hasn't Kellen Moore been making moves for it? He changed, like we talked about, better backups. We had that discussion about getting better backups and bringing them in here to help do a better job for the Saints. And the man proceeded to move better backups onto the damn team. Elvin Banks Jr., phenomenal. Like I'm going to say it again. People telling me Q is a rebuild, and I'm saying it's not a rebuild, it's a remodel. Because when you rebuild, you usually tear everything down and build something up anew. They're not building up anything anew. They put a new leader over the team. They put another quarterback there, but they're still veteran players that have been with the team for a long time that's in key positions. So it's not a rebuild, it's a remodel. It's a remodel. And there's nothing wrong with that, because what you had before was an idiot. Like I always say, if you have a bad leader, you're not going anywhere. How many times we've seen multi-billion-dollar corporations, or really corporations that made money but didn't go as far as they could have went because they had a stupid-ass CEO on top of the team that mismanaged the company's funds. The moment they sold the company to somebody responsible, they went from millions to billions. That happens all the time in the business world, because it's all about organization being organized, and it's all about imagination and organization. If you got the imagination to be able to organize your team in a more effective manner and know where you need to focus to fix certain things on your program, then you're going to win. And if you're a dummy, you're not going to have the same effect. You're not going to maximize like you could, like that other guy, because he got his shit in check. The Saints are not devoid of talent. They always had talent. They didn't have any leadership. And that's the problem. You can't win without a real leader. And we ain't talking about Demario Davis. I'm talking about on top of the team. Because even though as good as Demario Davis is, he was down with Dennis Allen's F stuff. When players didn't like Dennis Allen, he was sitting up here rallying around Dennis Allen. He didn't challenge him. He didn't challenge Dennis Allen and say, hey, man, you got to stop this. Backstabbing the shit. He didn't do none of that. He didn't challenge Dennis Allen. He didn't. He helped Dennis Allen march everybody off the fucking volcano. That's what he did. So in the end, that's why I said, and then they start placating and making excuses for why they failed. Winners don't do that. Winners be pissed off like Lattimore was, like Mike Thomas was, like Elvin was. That's why they held this money back and talked about Mickey in that press conference talking about some apology nonsense. Y'all put one in the chat. Y'all remember that. Remember I pinpointed that? And they paid him later on. But in the end, what I'm saying is, the bottom line is, a winner's not cool with losing, because you know what kind of environment you're supposed to have to win. You can't have bullshit and non-accountability and think you're going to do something. It don't work that way. This guy is serious about something. All we can do is wait and see what he does. Anyway, before I cut y'all loose, man, y'all do me a service. Hit that like button. It's 150 people in the stream right now at 12:35. a.m. Central Time, and I appreciate you guys talking Saints with me late. I'm up late. Y'all guys up late. Y'all must have couldn't sleep, but you know what, baby? I love the Saints. I know y'all love the Saints. We won't see the Saints win. Put one in the chat for that. Hit the like button for that, man. And that's what I'm talking about, baby. I'm trying to counteract this noise. Anyway, this is the unofficial depth chart according to the Saints website. You can see, let's focus on the offensive line, right? Kelvin Banks Jr. Let me go here with the draft because I got to give credit what credit due. I think this was a very solid draft. Saints drafted 9 players. 8 of the players made the active roster. 1 player, Fadil Diggs, is on the practice squad. You know, and he didn't make the team because Chris Rumph, Chris Rumph the third, I think it is, or the second, whatever. Chris Rumph beat him out for the spot. But had that not been the case, Fadil would have made it too. And all 9 of the draft picks would have made the team. Which is stellar, which means the future is bright because you're adding really good players, talented players in spots where older players are. Danny Stutzman for Demario Davis once he retires. Jonas Sanker for who's under a 1-year deal. Sanker's there. Quincy Riley, if injuries happen, he's another fantastic player. Devin Neal, who's one of the 4 running backs the Saints have. Otavo, 6'8", 260-pound, really good tight end from, college tight end from UCLA. Who has some good value, kind of shitty offense he played in last year, didn't maximize his value, but he did what he could do. So with that being said, Kellen Moore did a good job of drafting, finding out what he needed to do. He kind of figured out the offense later on into preseason. He was asking where the big wide receiver at. He was just batting it away. Then he goes get 6'5", 200-pound plus Devon Valley, who runs a 4.47 in the 40. Goes and get Trey Palmer off the waiver wire, who's a speedster from LSU, who runs good routes, can catch the ball, and is a blazer as well. The offensive line, he got depth with the offensive line. He traded for Asim Richards from the Dallas Cowboys. He traded for Luke Fortner by giving up Colin Sanders, who was going to cut, but he got a player for him to improve his backup center position. He even claimed Xavier Truss off of the waiver wire, and then the development of Torrey Simpkins. So they've added better backups for some of the players that we had to fortify the offensive line. They have a good core, a good group of speedy wide receivers right now. Of course, the reporter, I won't get too hard on him, but he talked about Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed being the top people. Right, and those are the 2 name brands. We know Brandon Cook's a little later in the game, but still a solid veteran if you need him to be for depth purposes. We know Devon Valley had a solid rookie year, and they're looking for him as an older player to be able to continue to contribute. Mason Tipton he's going to be special for us this year. And Trey Palmer has special teams application as well and could help you in the wide receiver room. So they have a lot of, talented players that can function in a wide open system. And then, of course, like I said, the running backs, Elvin, Kendre, Velas, who's a kick returner who has good speed as well, and Devin Neal, who's special. I just think that how Kellen Moore is doing this thing is interesting, even to the point where most teams carry a third quarterback, and he said, nah, we're gonna have 2 quarterbacks on the active roster. Now we'll see how things change as we move forward, but you can see what he's attempting to do: a streamlined team that's fast, that's hard to plan for, and speed kills, that mentality, which means that if he can open this up and turn it into a fun game and have them to be able to not only just take teams off because they, take teams head off because they fast and they can stretch the field, but that also opens up opportunities for the running game so they can be able to do what they got to do. And in the end, all I can say is that it appears to be a very interesting system that he's setting up to run. You've seen what it looked like in Philly, where they were more run dominant because of Saquon Barkley. He just became this beast, and they just put it all on his shoulders, and he made life a lot easier for them. I don't know if that's what we're going to see with Alvin Kamara, because you don't really need to do that. I mean, with what you got, but I think Elvin Kamara is due for a big year this year. And I think they talk about the quarterbacks, and the quarterback is important, but AK-41 is ready for a breakout year. I'm saying the guy never had 1,000 yards in a season. I'm thinking this year he can have 1,200. If he stays healthy, the line does what it's supposed to do and opens up, man, Elvin Kamara could have 1,200 yards rushing this year. I mean, he's a guy. You mix in Kendre, who is the healthiest we ever seen. He looked very good in preseason and in the training camp. There's a lot of stuff from an offensive standpoint to be kind of happy for. Now, of course, we know Trevor Penning's dealing with the issue. We talked about that before on the previous show. It's who's better, at this point as a guard right now. It's Dylan Redunce, Torrey Sally Simpkins, or Trevor Penning. Right now, Penning is not. He's done all right, but he's just started doing that. These other guys have been doing that, And right now they look better than him at guard. So we're gonna see what it looks like. Plus, Cesar Ruiz struggled, and it's good because people notice he struggled. He struggled in preseason against backups. Torricelli Simpkins is here. If Ruiz suffers and opens the door for people to chase after his quarterback, man, that won't last long before Cesar Ruiz is facing getting benched. So it's time for him to step up and do what he's supposed to do. So we're putting the heat on some of these guys to develop and do what the hell they're supposed to do.